Hey guys, another great edition of Quarantine with Coaches. Today, I got new defensive coordinator at University of Tennessee Martin, Chris Polizzi. Chris, how you doing?
I'm good. Tim. I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. Is the new title, is that gone by now? I mean, it's been February, right?
Well, I'll tell you what. I haven't given up a point yet. I haven't given up a yard, so I feel pretty good. But no, it's fun. It's been fun to kind of do it on your own. And one of the things that I think I take a lot of pride in as a defense coordinator is, working my way up from GA to position coach to taking over the secondary to, doing things of that nature is gaining the input of everybody on my staff. Like, I didn't want to take a playbook and just drop it down and say, hey, learn this. Because I think as guys have more input there, the coaches are more invested in the entire game plan. And so, taking input from Ryan Osborne, our defensive line coach, Dalton Hilliard, who's doing our secondary, and Miles Taylor, who's doing our corners. And, things like that, I think, are what have made our plan of attack and the way we're going forward really exciting, because everybody has, some part of the ingredients to the finished product.
It's awesome. And one of the things I find intriguing about you is you got a heck of a path. I mean, at this point in your career, you're not much older than me, and you worked for some of the best programs in the country, right? And now you're a defensive coordinator at the Division I level. Can you just talk a little bit about your path from a D3 playing career to where you are now?
Sure. The game of football has afforded me many opportunities, and I'm very grateful for the opportunities that football has given me in the path that's laid out before me. It kind of starts in high school where, I went to a small school in Western Massachusetts that, Western Massachusetts football it's not a powerhouse area for athletes in general. It's a very rural area, but had an opportunity to go to Lake Forest College, a city school. And one of the things that was important to me there is they were moving into the Bears facility, the Chicago Bears facility. The Bears just built a new one there in Lake Forest. And so we were taking over what's called Hallis Hall, for Papa Bear. And that was a lot of fun. And we had a tremendous amount of success there with our head coach, Chad Isley, and a bunch of great players. And I was no good football player. I was good enough to go there and play, but not at an elite level, and made some great memories. And, my senior year, just so happens the Bears came back into my life. They let go one of their assistants, Chuck Bulla. And so Chuck could keep his NFL contract as long as he didn't take another job. So he was a volunteer coach at Lake Forest. He was a linebackers coach and special teams coordinator. And he kind of took a shine to me. I don't know why, but him and I just kind of got along. And I maintained that relationship with him once I graduated and took a GA job coaching wide receivers at Central Methodist University, an NAIA school. And, I was back in the rural area. This was a town of 200 people. And it was a great experience because I was able to cut my teeth with a Lake Forest grad in Kyle Langhoff, who was a coach there, had gone down there before me. And, coaching wide receivers, no experience coaching wide receivers. As a defensive back myself, didn't like wide receivers. And but you go from coaching on the varsity, coaching JV, working in the dorm, doing the equipment, making sandwiches, lining the fields, like whatever needed to get done, you did. And it was a great experience for 4 years. Got added on full time there eventually, and moved my way over to the secondary, and then kind of realized, okay, it's time for me to try to take my shot. And that's when I found the value of a network, where the people that I was able to keep in contact with were able to give me exposure to other opportunities. And fate came in. Chuck Bulla again had an opportunity to rise up and be the defense coordinator at UCLA, and he. We did some interviews. He called, said, get yourself out here to Los Angeles. And I went out there for 2 years. And that was a tremendous experience for me because it was big time. It was working with elite players. It was recruiting at an elite level. We were battling USC for the top talent there in Southern California and in the Pacific. And, it's where I was able to learn a larger volume of defensive scheme and how, the day-to-day operations of running a Division I program were. Norm Chow was the offensive coordinator. Rick Neuheisel was the head coach, and Chuck on defense, an unbelievable special teams coordinator, and Frank Gans, who was a lineage of NFL knowledge and talent. So that was huge amount of exposure for me. After 2 years, the band was kind of breaking up, and Norm Chow was going to the University of Utah, and he said, "Do you want to come with me and be my tight ends coach and graduate assistant?" And I leapt at the opportunity because Utah was just joining the Pac-12. I got engaged at that time, so my wife, my fiance at the time, moved out to Salt Lake City with me, and I was there with Kyle Whittingham, was the head coach of Utah, and Kalani Sitake, who's now the head coach at BYU, was our defense coordinator, and Tim Davis was the O-line coach. Dave Schramm was the running back coach. I mean, we had some unbelievable. Brian Johnson, who's of Florida, was our quarterbacks coach. Like, it was an experience to behold because Kyle was so different from Rick in that, Rick was a really unbelievable recruiter because he could work people. You know what I mean? He was very, very personable and very fluid. Kyle was very tough, physical, hard-nosed, a defensive coach and an offensive coach, and learned a lot from everybody there. Got introduced really into the Polynesian culture, which is such the foundation of what makes Utah so strong in recruiting that area, and that's kind of their niche. And after that year, had an opportunity to get my wife closer to her family at the University of Iowa. I was rejoining a good friend of mine that I worked with, again, network coming into play. At Iowa, so I was going to go be the defensive backs GA with the new defensive coordinator Phil Parker, and Phil Parker played with Chuck Bulla, a previous GA of mine, our previous GA at Iowa, Seth Wallace, was my position coach for a year at Lake Forest. So again, when those networks start to connect like that, it makes for an unbelievable experience. And Iowa really is a place where I kind of found a comfortable home, with a couple different reasons. I was married at the time, so my wife and I had some stability. The program at Iowa is one of where the GAs are coaches on the field. You know what I mean? You're held to a higher expectations. You're not just somebody pounding on keys on a desk in a dark room. And that's where I kind of was able to find what I feel is my philosophy in its foundation. And I was able to find my voice as a coach of, I'm more involved now in the kids' lives as far as from, the academic standpoint, the relationship standpoint. When they come in, Norm Parker, who was the defensive coordinator before Phil Parker there, he would always say, how you doing today? And he would, don't give me the company line. That was one of his things. Like, I'm asking a genuine question. Give me a genuine answer. And so I use some of that stuff that to connect with the players because at the end of the day, wins and losses will come and go, and we'll get fired based off of how many games we win, how many games we lose. But the relationships with our players is what makes this whole thing go around. I have fond memories at Lake Forest College, with coaches who took a vested interest in me and want to know how I was doing as a person. Those are the relationships I still carry on today. If I have a problem or a job quandary or something like that, I'll call, one of my former coaches from Lake Forest or one of my mentors that I've met along the way, like Chuck or Phil Parker. And, when it was time to spread my wings and go out on my own, I had an opportunity to go coach at I still say 1AA. I know it's FCS, but to me, it's a 1AA place at Western Carolina. And that there was a lot of similarity between Kirk Ferentz as a head coach, who is far and away, if you talk about a human being and a football coach, and at their highest level, that's in my opinion Kirk Ferentz, because he genuinely cares about everybody that walks through that door. Mark Spear, who's the head coach at Western Carolina, is in that same mold. I was there for like 6 months. I got the job in July, and to this day, it's a funny story. He's never offered me the job. He was on the phone. He said, "Hey, is your wife there?" And I said, "Sure, she's right here." And she didn't want to take the phone. I said, "You gotta take his phone call." So he offered her the job. He said, "If you are you okay with this? Are you okay with Chris taking this job and moving this far away and kind of committing this thing?" And she said yes, which was good. But so we joke about that still. And then I had an opportunity to move on with the defensive coordinator there, Sean Quinn, was going to Tennessee Tech with the new staff of Marcus Satterfield, who was coming from Temple. And Marcus Satterfield was bringing the Matt Rule, Temple tough mantra to Tennessee Tech. So I was able to be a part of that and coach with some unbelievable people there, and had a really good time for 2 years and seeing like, okay, I'd never been where the entire staff was new. So taking in and implementing a brand new culture on a group of hungry young men because they had not been really successful there. And just seeing those kids, the buy-in factor. Were we overly talented? No, but those kids bought in so much, we were able to win 5 conference games, which is the most they'd won in a long time there. And then I had an opportunity to come to UT Martin after that, just as a safeties coach. And then after that year, we took over the the whole secondary and was able to hire a young man who played for me at UCLA, Dalton Hilliard. And then after that, now able to take over as the defensive coordinator after Jordan Hankins leaves and takes a job at Marshall. And then I'm able to hire another corners coach, Miles Taylor, who played for me at Iowa. So again, the network, I have guys that have seen me coach that I was able to instruct, and I saw how they took coaching, and they're unbelievable teachers. And then adding a guy like Ryan Osborne with a wealth of knowledge and has that been at Mississippi State, been at Florida. He's from the state of Massachusetts. He coached. He was a defense coordinator at St. Norbert College. Like, understands where I come from, and we speak kind of the same language. And so I'm very, very fortunate. My wife is the head athletic trainer over the Olympic sports over across campus. So to be able to see her every day, to be able to have lunch with her, I mean, we will never, and we realize this, we'll never have this opportunity ever again in our careers probably, where we're able to work, as peers. So we're enjoying every day. It's been a lot of fun. And like I said, I haven't given up a point yet. So pretty excited about that.
That's awesome. Hey, you touched on this a little bit ago. Your D3 roots and being able to cut your teeth sort of at the lower level. Can you talk about how that sort of prepared you to take those GA jobs and eventually get you to the next job?
Sure. When we so if I was able to through injury and fault, I was able to start a couple games as a freshman, and it was a huge honor, and I don't know if I appreciate it as much because I would still have to ride like the freshman van, and that was humbling. I was like, "What? I'm a starter? Why? You know what I mean?" But I'm a starter in such a small pond. When you do those things, now I have to go over to scout team, you know what I mean, and scout team quarterback or scout team whatever, you know what I mean. We loaded our own bags. We had a great trainer in Gilbo, but sometimes you have to tape our own wrists or things of that nature where you got to drag the bags out. You got to drag the bags back. I'm not a big time guy. You need to understand that when you go to Central Methodist, man, you have to wear a bunch of different hats, and you're gonna coach this kid hard. You know what I mean? And he may not like you. Then you have to go back in the dorm, and you're his dorm head. You know what I mean? And then you see him walking across campus. So you understand that the relationships you build, and the sooner you're able to install in your players, then the way I coach you, it's not personal. If you take it personal, that's your problem. But if I see a problem, I'm going to correct it. That's coaching. That's what being a father figure is. That's what being an older brother is. I'm doing this. It comes from a place of love, and it's not degrading with the kid. But if you're able to install those things, you can have success, and then the kids can have buy-in, and then you'll have success. But when you're a graduate assistant, man, everything falls downhill. Like you are the stopgap. If something needs done, you do it. If there's trash on the ground, you pick it up. If laundry needs to get moved from one area to the other, you do it. If whatever. And sometimes that's hard for young men to do. And I think what it initially teaches you is how quickly can I realize how organized I can be, from making lists to making checklists to making double checklists to, like, if somebody says, "Hey, do we have the bus list?" You better have a bus list. You know what I mean? You may have already thought ahead of, like, what is a potential fire that I'm going to need to put out. And it's been a great experience. Again, I think a lot of guys at that D3 level, they're not, they're paying to go to school. So you're able to, you play for the love of the game. You play because you want to be there. You play because you miss the locker room. And I tell the players all the time, I don't dream a whole lot. Like, when I sleep, I'm out. But when I do dream, I dream about playing at Lake Forest College. I dream about, playing at wherever school I'm at. Like, God, I'm 37 years old. What am I doing with this helmet on? But, that's one of the things that I still dream about as a grown man is playing the game of football and being in those game situations.
Hey, and so you were promoted around February, early February, so about a month on the job before all this sort of blew up, right? How did you go about building a defense, bringing in some of this new staff that you were doing, and sort of implementing that new defense with the new staff and all that? What have you been doing to make this work during this time?
Technology has been fantastic. The way that we're able to do Zoom meetings, the way that we're able to do FaceTime meetings, the way that we're able to send information and pictures and the sharing of information electronically has been a huge benefit to us. I don't know that we would have been able to do any of this 5 years, definitely not 10 years ago. It would have been really difficult. But one of the things that the information that we're trying to get to our players right now is more technique and culture than anything, and showing them examples of this is a guy who's bought in, you know what I mean, and show the way he plays. This is a guy who's not bought in, and you can see the direct results. This is a guy who's playing with proper technique. This is stuff you can go, if you have a wall, if you have a cone, if you have a bag, if you have, a padded wall that's underneath those basketball hoops. Like, these are some different things you can do while we're away from one another. I think it's also been great for our players to see us in a different light. You know what I mean? Where we're able to check in, we'll FaceTime. So last Friday, the defensive staff Friday afternoon, we went fishing. You know what I mean? We were able to keep our social distancing around, but and are able to show our players and really recruits, like, guys, we're human beings. We enjoy getting along with one another, and it's something that we're trying to just show the human side of us. I think that it's one that, again, culture and just techniques is something, because we'll be able to install the defensive scheme. You know what I mean? That's not I don't want to waste time by saying, hey, guys, we're going to go over day 1, day 2, day 3. Then we go over day 1, day 2, day 3. And then we go I think you lose the kids a little bit. But if you're able to keep the information fresh, hey, this is another technique. Hey, now I want you guys, who can share videos of them working those techniques or things of that nature? Hey, did you find anything? I had a player send me back film from Auburn that he found. He's like, hey, coach, this is similar to stuff. I'm like, dude, that's awesome. So those are kind of things that we've been able to do, again, with the help of technology.
You're coming up, I think, close to closing in on 15 years, right, as a coach, maybe surpassed it. As you look back now and you're able to hire some of these guys that you were a position coach for or played underneath you, what's some advice you're going to give to them or some other young coaches that want to try to emulate your career?
It's funny. I never want anybody to I want you to be the first you. And I think that was one of my problems as I shouldn't say problem, but one of the things that maybe hindered me when I was a younger coach is I was saying, well, he did that, so I need to do that. And if I do that, I'll have the same result as he is. Everybody's path is completely different. And I think when I realized, hey, you know what, I'm going to do my own path. And what I'm going to work so hard for whatever is the next opportunity. You know what I mean? If it's in the NFL, or if it's in here, or if it's in high school, like whatever I want to do, I need to start working towards that goal. And I think when guys have those goals in mind, that's important. When I was younger, I was like, hey, man, I will go anywhere in America and coach as long as it's at the highest level, because if I'm at the highest level, I'm going to get the most amount of respect. And that's really not the case. Now that I have a family, I don't want to go coach, in far, far away from my family. I want to be able to go see them and share memories with them. I think wherever you're able to go and coach and be happy and learn as a younger coach, you need to take those opportunities. But as you get older, things start to your sphere of where you would coach gets smaller. If you want to go coach in the NFL, man, get in anywhere you can fit in. If you want to coach at major college football, man, get in anywhere you can fit in. If you want to go coach and learn and just, hey, look, I need to get experience now. Okay, man, go to high school, go to wherever, go coach Pee-wees, go coach Pop Warner stuff, and go coach. Because I promise you, the same fundamentals you're trying to teach at the Pop Warner level of striking a blow and coming out of my hips with 6 points of contact is the same thing they're teaching in the NFL, the same thing we're going to teach out here about, leverage, and the proper fundamentals of tackling. So that's one of the advice that I would give is just, if you have a dream, if you have a goal, you need to work towards whatever your goal is. Don't just think, hey, if I take this path, this is the next thing that's going to happen to me.
So you're saying when I saw Coach Saban drink coffee and eat chocolate cakes for breakfast, I didn't need to do that to be successful?
Yeah, no doubt. If you're at the podium and you put that Coke, that Diet Coke right there, well, then that means that I'm going to be the next head coach at Alabama. Yeah, no, that's definitely not the way it works. And you have to be, this is I've heard it said many times, this is a tremendous profession and a real crummy business. And there definitely is a business side to this profession at every level. But when you focus and make it about the players, when you make it about the kids, everything gets put in perspective.
Hey, before we go and do a little rapid fire questions here, you ready for that?
Okay. Yeah.
Book that's had the biggest impact on you.
Oh man, Coach Ferentz gave us a book to read called The Slight Edge. That was really, really, really good. But the one that most recently hit me was I think it's called Sidelined, and it was the book by Chuck Pagano. So I lost my mom to lung cancer back in 2017, and really, really, really tough, but it talks about his battle with lymphoma. So that was one that I was able to connect with and how he came out clean on the other side. And it similar, not similar, but similar, where he gets an opportunity to go be a head coach at the Indianapolis Colts. First time he's ever been able to be a head coach. He's fired up, and all of a sudden he gets sick. He can't do it. First time ready to be a defensive coordinator. Let's implement all this stuff. Can't wait for spring ball. Let's go. Oh, the COVID hits, and now just sitting here doing Zoom meetings and stuff. So, I was able to relate a little bit, and I reached back to that book a couple times.
What's been your go-to TV show that you binged during quarantine?
Oh, man. My wife has been on this kick of Bosch on Amazon Prime. So I've been able to click into a little bit of that. But, for me, I like House of Cards. I really do like House of Cards. I think it's a really, really good one. And, I do like the football portion of it when you look at the other one at All or Nothing. I think those are pretty good, where they embed the TV crew with the program there. I think those are pretty cool. So been able to watch a bunch of those.
What's been your go-to quarantine meal?
Whatever my wife cooks, whatever. I'm the worst cook. I could burn water. I am atrocious. That's why you marry a woman who can cook, because you can't eat love. Whatever she puts on the table, man, that's our rule. I'll never complain about it. She cooks it, I eat it. So, and she's been doing this Whole30 kick where it's no sugar. But I'll sneak off, and Cape Cod chips are like my kryptonite. She'll catch me in the corner shoveling Cape Cod chips in my mouth like I'm a Cookie Monster.
You spent time in California and Utah. Would you rather ski or surf?
Oh man, so growing up in Massachusetts, I grew up skiing. And even for a little time was a junior ski instructor, and my dad was a big ski instructor too. So skiing probably comes more naturally to me. I went surfing once and almost killed myself. It was that wave came up and just slammed me into the sand, and so I would probably rather go. I want to learn how to surf, but probably right now I'd probably go ski.
And final question here. You and I actually overlapped in college, played each other in the fall of 2004. Me at Illinois College, you at Lake Forest College. What was your all-time record versus Illinois College?
We were 4-0. 4-0 versus Illinois College. And actually, your offensive coordinator, Peter Jennings, threw an interception to me in that game in 2004 that I believe we were victorious.
Way to go, Pete. he'll be glad to hear that.
I bring it up literally every time I see him.
Yeah, there you go. I got to say that I follow that loss up with 3 straight wins. So I won a game there when I was coaching. So I don't want to put my alma mater down before I leave, but no. I did want to ask that question.
I tell you what, it was never a blowout. It was always a battle with Illinois College, and I still keep up with Lake Forest College. I'm very proud to be an alumnus of there, and college football, just to touch on the Division III part, I get together every 4th of July or around there with 4 guys, myself included, so 3 other guys that I played with, and that are all somehow involved in sports still. And, those all 3 guys were in my wedding. Those relationships that you build, it was we still have like Zoom, happy hours. We try to get together with, and those are important relationships.
Awesome. Coach, I appreciate your time. Thank you for coming on Quarantine with Coaches. Hopefully you can keep that shutout you're pitching through the fall.
We'll see. Thank you very much, Tim. Appreciate you.